Listeners, Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskrityam Naran Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayam Mudirayet Nashtaprayesha Bhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevayat Bhagavate Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtiki. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaaya Cha Nanda Gopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Namo Pankajanabhaya Namo Pankajamalini Namo Pankajanetraya Namaste Pankajangri. Today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 9, Chapter 3, verses 1 to 10, the marriage of Sukanya and Chaivana Muni. Text 1. Sri Sukadeva Goswami continued, O king, Saryati, another son of Manu, was a ruler completely aware of Vedic knowledge. He gave instructions about the functions for the second day of the yajna to be performed by the descendants of Angira. Text 2. Saryati had a beautiful lotus-eyed daughter named Sukanya, with whom he went to the forest to see the ashrama of Chaivana Muni. Text 3. While that Sukanya, surrounded by her friends, was collecting various types of fruits from the trees in the forest, she saw within the hole of an earthworm two things glowing like luminaires. Text 4. As if indulged and as if induced by providence, the girl ignorantly pierced those two glowworms with a thorn, and when they were pierced, blood began to ooze out of them. Text 5. Thereupon, all the soldiers of the Saryati were immediately obstructed from passing urine and stools. Upon perceiving this, Saryati spoke to his associates in surprise. Text 6. How strange it is that one of us has attempted to do something wrong to Chaivana Muni, the son of Bhrigu. It certainly appears that someone among us has polluted this ashrama. Text 7. Being very much afraid, the girl Sukanya said to her father, I have done something wrong, for I have ignorantly pierced these two luminous substances with a thorn. Text 8. After hearing this statement by his daughter, King Saryati was very much afraid. In various ways, he tried to appease Chaivana Muni, for it was he who sat within the hole of the earthworm. Text 9. King Saryati, being very contemplative and thus understanding Chaivana Muni's purpose, gave his daughter in charity to the sage. Thus released from the danger with great difficulty, he took permission from Chaivana Muni and returned home. Text 10. Chaivana Muni was very irritable, but since Sukanya has gotten him as her husband, she dealt with him carefully. According to his mood, knowing his mind, she performed services to him without being bewildered. Thank you very much, Prabhuji and Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna, Sri Krishna Das Prabhuji. Please accept our humble obeisances of Gosha Srila Prabhupada and Guru Maharaj. Prabhuji, please take over the call. Prabhuji, Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Radharani Mataji. Thank you, Swamini Gopi Mataji, for reading the translation today. Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopakumaraya Govindaya Namo Namaha Vairagya Vidya Nija Bhakti Yogam Sikshashtamekam Purusha Puranam Shri Krishna Chaitanya Sariradari Kripam Vadittamaham Prapadye Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langete girum yatkrupa tamaham vande Shri Gurum Dinataranam Shri Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna, dear devotees. So today we are seeing this new section where another son of Vaivashvata Manu is being described here. So Vaivashvata Manu had 10 sons, it seems, beginning from Ikshvaku. And so now in this chapter, we are seeing another son named Saryati. So he's also son of Vaivashvata Manu. His lineage is being described. So in the previous chapter, we have seen the dynasties of different sons of Vaivashvata Manu, beginning from Ikshvaku. And then at the end, Sukadeva Goswami concludes saying that um, how there was a son named Somadatta, who was the son of Krishashva, and he performed Ashwamedha Yagyas. And then he also satisfied Lord Vishnu. And by performing all the sacrifices and worshipping the Lord, he attained an exalted post in the uh, planet where the mystic yogis are elevated. So, and then another son of Somadatta was mentioned as Sumati, and then Janamejaya. So, whose son was Janamejaya? And all these kings, it was mentioned that they were king in the dynasty of Vishala and the king Trinabindu. So, the celebrated position of King Trinabindu. So this was the second chapter conclusion. Now in the third chapter, we can see that another son of Vaivashvata Manu, naming Saryati, is being described. His lineage is being described. Um, so here we can see that King Saryati is being described as he knows the Vedic knowledge. He's completely aware of uh, Vedic knowledge given by the Lord, the Brahmishtaha. So and also he also gave instructions how the sacrifice has to be performed. It seems that a second day of yajna is going on. By Angira Muni is leading this yajna. So, so here the descendants of Angira is leading the yajna, and King Saryati is participating, or he is conducting it. So now, so he also gave instructions about how to perform the yajna. Uh, so in this pastime, we can see there is, so as soon as Sukadeva Goswami introduces Saryati, and he introduces a beautiful daughter named Sukanya. So Sukanya is mentioned as Kamala Lochana Tayasardam. So she is very beautiful. Her eyes looks like a lotus flower, and it was mentioned as together they were entering into Vanagataha, entering into a forest, and they were trying to meet Shavana Ashramam. So they are trying to meet the cottage of Shavana Muni. So now in this scene, by the will of providence, so by the will of providence, she's generally very not she always behaves herself very nicely, but then at this moment, she, by the will of providence and by some previous karma or previous impedance, that she sees something glowing in the forest, like an inside an earthworm, and then she takes a thorn and then she pokes it in the glowing luminaries. It's mentioned as Kadyato Dadrishe Kadyato. So it's like just glowing. She doesn't know what it is. Jyotishi. So so at that time, this beautiful forest is also mentioned as where everyone was, different types of fruit trees were there. And then all she was surrounded by her friends. And at that time, this particular thing happened. And And here also it is mentioned, Te Daiva Chodita Bala. So, Daiva Chodita means just, as if impelled by providence. She couldn't just control herself, she just did it, So, um, and that time, so as soon as she did it, there was a blood oozing from that glowing worm, and suddenly she knew that she did something wrong. And immediately the soldiers who came along with the king Saryati, all of them were feeling that they were completely blocked from passing urine and stool. So it's basically an inconvenience. They could feel that definitely there is something wrong happened. And the king, being an knowledgeable person, he understood that we basically came to this Shavana Muni's ashram and somebody must have polluted this ashram. So that's why this is happening to us. And he's trying to see what happened, what happened. And then Saryati, she thought, okay, maybe I did something wrong. That's why it happened. And then she spoke to him in surprise. She was like, came to the king and acknowledged that, yes, I did this and I do not know what I have done. So, so now it looks like Shravana Muni is a son of Bhrigu Muni. He is a very powerful mystic yogi, and it certainly looks like Shravana Muni is not is very angry at the soldiers, and therefore this has happened. So the king understood. Um, then at that time, the the Sukanya spoke to her father, and then he also, the king Saryati, he also understood that how to deal with the situation, now what to do. So, when he understood that this is because of anger of Shavana Muni, and it is actually Shavana Muni was present within that glow worm, and then he had pierced that glow worm, so which is caused him harm. So now, so King Saryati now was basically understanding. Shavana Muni came back to his original form. The king was able to have a conversation. And by the way, the Shavana Muni was looking at Sukanya and then how he was talking, the king understood that basically he wanted her daughter in charity in marriage. So that the king understood, and then king also promised that he is going to marry Sukanya to Shavana Muni, and then he eventually did that. So after that, all of the soldiers were released from that great difficulty. So eventually, the king took permission and he left to his palace. So since she was married to the Muni and she was staying in the ashram, and then the king left to the palace. So being a king's daughter, she was born and brought up in a palace, very wealthy, all the maid servants. But in the Shavana Muni's ashram, she has to basically do all the day-to-day activities, and also Shavana Muni looks like he's an old man. His appearance is not young. He's an old man, and he's also not good tempered. He is a short tempered, meaning he might get angry at any moment if you displease him. So, so she's married to this sage, and he's also looking appearing old. She's basically a young, beautiful princess. So you can imagine her position. But she didn't take it negatively. She just, as soon as she was married, she was basically very understood that now I'm married to this sage. I have to be very chaste and very faithfully have to serve according to his temperament. So she understood that the sage temperament is not good. So without disturbing him, whatever is the day-to-day necessities, accordingly she was serving him. So So and then so now the Prabhupada elaborates in the purport how this in the modern society that whenever there is a marriage, it is seen as a marriage of convenience, that whatever the husband and wife, the wife tries to see the marriage as a convenience, and husband also tries to see his marriage as a convenience, and there is no duty bound service, or there is no purpose beyond that convenience. So, but here in this case, even though she was very beautiful, she was a princess, she was by her father, she was married to this sage. She understood that because of some past life misdeeds or something, it has happened, so she had to serve him according to according to her his temperament. Basically, she was whatever the temperament he had, irritable temperament, she is not disturbing, and then she is serving him, being a very very faithful wife. So this is basically in the Western world. If you if you tell them, this is basically a bad example for them, because they cannot understand a marriage beyond the purpose of convenience. A marriage is a bondage of a life coming together for a higher purpose. So in this case, she understood that there is a higher purpose beyond a convenience, and then she was serving Shavana Muni, so that in all ways she wanted to please her husband. By pleasing her husband, she thought all her past misdeeds and everything will be nullified. So there are many lessons that Prabhupada is teaching here, that how the Vedic culture is never sees a marriage as something that can be broken. Once somebody gets married, they understand this is their life partner, and then they have to deal with all the inconveniences, and accordingly they have to serve each other. So especially Prabhupada mentions how wife has to be very very intelligent enough to understand how the husband's mood is, and then she has to serve according to husband's mood. That way she captures the heart of the husband. So when the wife captures the heart of the husband by service, then basically the husband is completely under the control of the wife. So it's in the material world it is understood the other way around. But when somebody serves a faithful service to somebody, then they capture that person's heart, and so that way it is like Prabhupada used to say, this is like a faithful wife. A chaste wife is like a circle of fire around the husband. So when there is a wife who is very faithful in service, who is rendering nice service to husband, the husband always thinks about such a wife, how I'm very indebted, how I should actually, how should I take care, like that. So that way it just provides a circle of fire around the husband. The husband doesn't think of any other woman. So it protects the chastity of the husband also. So in this case, we can understand how it's basically a very very wild example. A old man and a young princess is a very wild example. It doesn't happen normally, but even in this case also, how the Vedic culture, Vedic marriage, they took the marriage very seriously, and she didn't want to break the marriage. She was completely serving the husband very very faithfully according to his temperament. So in the modern culture, they think marriage is a union of convenience. So as soon as some inconvenience happens, they break the marriage. There is a divorce. So these sort of things doesn't happen in the Vedic culture. In the Vedic culture, so the marriage is not coming together for a convenience. So it is in this case, like we also saw, like how by the will of providence, such something happened. But she was doing something, and then the marriage happened. So basically, there are many things that we can say. Like the Saryati, the king, the father of Sukanya, he was giving Sukanya's hand in marriage. That was one. And then the Vedic sacrifice happens and the marriage is done. Like that, there are many things. When the marriage is performed, we do Agni sacrifice of fire, and all of the relatives come together, and everyone witnesses that sacred union between that male and female. So that is not to be considered something material. It is for a higher purpose, that some even in Christianity or any other religion, they see that the marriage is actually something of divine, so that there is a higher purpose beyond a convenience. When the husband and wife, the man and woman come together and they raise children, in Christianity it is considered a very religious life. So anybody who doesn't get married, they consider that's not actually a religious life. So like that, it goes beyond that marriage of convenience, right? So it goes beyond, like when Prabhupada was asked, what is the problem in the Western world? Immediately point out that in the Western world, the woman is trying to fight for the rights, equal rights with man. This is creating a tension in the society, that it is having a tension such that it is a social disruption. So basically, the woman is not only equal, is basically above men in a way that they take care of the husband and children, they take care of the whole family. They are given a higher position, not just equal. But in the Vedic culture, it's not that they have to work very hard and earn money to be equal. They're given higher respects and higher position. But then there is a way how woman has to capture the heart of the husband. So that is what Prabhupada said. There is a social disruption when the woman's nature is different, man's nature is different. When we try to make them equal, there is a social disruption. So then Prabhupada made them understand that in this social disruption, when one is has to be complemented by the other, and then they both have to live together in a family life, but one is trying to compete with the other, that's when the social disruption comes, the whole thing collapses. So, and then he was basically telling there are so many single mothers in America. They have to be given government subsidy so that they can raise children. And there are a lot of broken families. When the families are broken, the children doesn't get the love and affection of father and mother together. And then obviously the children doesn't grow up as a nice children. So all of these social disruption problems, it is all caused by having this one thing, like the mood of the husband, and the wife understands the mood of the husband and then serves very faithfully, and then she captures the heart of the husband. That way the family runs very peacefully. So this is the whole sum and substance what Prabhupada is explaining. So why always woman is expected of faithful service, not husband. All these kinds things come up in the modern world. But we understand that the woman captures the heart of the husband, and the husband works very hard and then provides all the necessities. So both way there is service. It's just different kind of service. So when both service complements each other, then the family runs very happily and peacefully. So otherwise, there will be broken families and there will be divorces. So there are many long discussions Prabhupada had in this one, and then he understood that in the modern world, it's very sensitive. At least let instead of talking these things, let me talk about how both of them can serve Krishna. So that is the sum and substance. But all of these is basically to come to that point of together serving Krishna, as a family. So when we engage the wife, engage wife, children, husband, everyone engages in the serving Krishna by basically performing arati, performing kirtan. So that is why deity worship is very much essential in a grahastha ashram. So in a grahastha ashram, there has to be at least a picture of Krishna, Radha Krishna, and so that everyone just come together, and then they can perform some arati ceremony, simple arati ceremony. They can sing kirtan together. So it becomes a family coming together, a family time, as well as a bhakti, time of bhakti. So that both the love and affection for the family and love and affection for Krishna both increases. So that is the sum and substance. When they together come and perform bhakti, the husband, who is supposed to be really guiding them into the direction of path of Krishna consciousness, he is also doing his right duty as a father. So as a mother also, she has to guide the children. She is also doing the duty of guiding the children into Krishna consciousness. So therefore, the purpose of coming together is perfect. So that's why the religion is recommending from grahastha ashram, because there is a higher purpose to it. The purpose is the father, the mother, they produce Krishna conscious children and then they raise the children as Krishna conscious devotees of Krishna. So just like Prahlad Maharaj, he was born in Ashuric family, and still he didn't actually neglect his father. He was very obedient to his father. So when somebody is a devotee, they will be very obedient to father and mother. They'll be very loving. So in the modern world, if we bring our children as devotees, and even after they grow up, they'll be very much in loving relationship with the father and mother. And ultimately, everyone wants to be in a loving relationship with children. Just like Krishna is our father, and even though we are in the material world, Krishna still wants us to reclimb to the spiritual world because he is a loving father. So similarly, the affection that we have, material affection for our children, and when they become Krishna consciousness, the bondage of family life will be very strong. So that is another reason we can think about having why we should bring children Krishna consciousness. So there are many reasons like that. So especially the wife and husband, they just come together for a higher purpose, not just a marriage of convenience. Then, like Sukanya, she was tolerating, even though Shavanamuni is very old, is short tempered, she's tolerating all this because she thought marriage is for higher purpose, not just a marriage of convenience. So that is the whole sum and substance, why she was able to serve the husband this way and carry out husband orders. So I mean, there are many examples in the Vedic culture like this. These are all wild examples, but even so in this case we can see that Shavana Muni was so pleased that he understood, okay, at least I have to give a happy life to Sukanya, and then he called Ashwini Kumaras, and then he is going to exchange his old body for a young body, and she was completely surprised. And then there will be another surprising factor also will come eventually later on in this pastime. So these pastimes will make us understand how the bond of marriage is so valued in the Vedic culture, and how the modern world is gone very far away from this, and at least we can understand how the standards used to be. So even now there are many examples that we see in 500 years ago, 400 years ago. There are many examples how the Vedic culture, the woman was exemplary, and eventually they capture the heart of the husband, and the husband also serves the family very nicely. So this is the secret of successful grahastha ashram family life. That way the home can be very happy without the problem of the divorce and all the culture that has come in the modern world. So, but the Western people might think this is like a slave mentality, but it's actually the opposite. So when we serve someone, it is not in the Vaishnava culture or in the culture of Vedic culture. Even Krishna likes to serve, because when somebody loves you, and serves you, when you serve them, it is not being a slave mentality, it is actually a reciprocation. So basically, the wife serves husband, and husband also serves wife by working hard and earning economic development for the family. It is a service on both sides. So it's not just a slave mentality, just like in the modern world we think. So in a way, Prabhupada says it's a tactic by a woman who can conquer the heart of her husband. So we can think about these points, and then see how we can make a very Krishna consciousness family life. So thereby we can together progress in the Krishna consciousness in the Grahastha ashram. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. This concludes today's verse. श्रीमद् भागवतम की जय, शिल प्रपात की जय, अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। वंशा कल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिंधुभ्यैव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, devotees.
Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much, Prabhuji. Thank you all devotees for joining the class today. Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.